game immediately.
Because
there was a little bit of time for the next players to set up. So as they begin to log back in, let's go ahead and introduce the next map. It's going to be on Shattered Temple, where it will be Perihelion versus Sick Iggy.
Yeah, we're just blowing through these.
We're just blasting right
I hope
through
you
all
guys
the player
are
screens.
doing all of this, taking notes here. And it is going to be Shattered Temple. That is correct, I believe, Sean. Yes.
That is indeed. Now, I think the most important thing to talk about on those maps are the destructible rocks.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially at the high-yield expansion. This version of the map, most players are familiar with it now, but back in the day, this map used to look a lot different when it was known as Lost Temple. The expansions on the bottom right side and the bottom left side used to be island expansions, and now they're sort of island expansions, but you can eventually access them by destroying those destructible rocks. And a lot of times, the games will revolve around, can a player actually secure that high-yield expansion? But again, a lot of it comes down to the spawn locations. If you're spawning close by ground, that high yield expansion most likely will never be taken. And at that point, then the game evolves to, can people expand to the left side of the map rather than towards each other? Because really all you have is that natural. No one's probably going to take the bottom right side just because it's so hard to protect. So yeah, spawns play a huge role on these maps.
Let's go ahead and take a look at our players. The first one, Perihelion, one of the first Terrans to make a big appearance today. Looks like there's a lot of Perihelion fans out there.
And he says, besides watching way too many Newbie Tuesdays, I've been eating my fish oil capsules every morning. And of course, he's talking about how is he preparing for the AHGL. And there he is right there with his awesome spiky hair. Don't want to be falling onto that. So, yeah, player number one.
And his opponent will be Sick Iggy from Team Zynga, who had a great comeback.
And man, look at those guns, Sean. So you got to watch out for that.
Tattoo, I will have you know.
And I just love reading quotes because they're always fun. It says, why do you play StarCraft? One of my first big gaming memories was actually thanks to StarCraft and StarCraft Brood War. Also true for me, as that was my first RTS. I remember my buddy Joe coming over, and he installed some new game on my computer. Next thing you know, a couple 13-year-olds were having mom order pizza playing StarCraft campaign until 2 a.m.
Oh.
I wish I could have the replays of me playing the campaign back when I was 11 years old. That I would love to cast those.
And it looks like both players are ready now. So it's time to hop directly into game number 5. Can Microsoft close it out and take the win and get that $5,000 for Amnesty International? Or will it be Zynga making the comeback? Sick Iggy would be the man to do it.
Oh yeah, and they have done it before. So the countdown has begun. We're already at 2 seconds. Sean, you got the jump on me there. And the game is going to be loading right now. So again, Sean, this has a potential to be the very, very last game here today.
In the north position, the man who pulled the amazing final clutch win against Google in the semifinals. It is Sick Iggy from Team Zynga.
All right, Sean, you're going to have to slap me for getting this name horribly wrong, but it is going to be our other Zerg player. Is it Perihelion? Is that right?
Oh, Hellion. What a naughty word to say. The blue flame Hellion's giving such treachery, but you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say Perihelion. It looks
Perihelion,
like
yes.
Perihelion making the Bear Muffs a reference.
And it does look right now, what is this SCV doing? He's just going to be going ahead and throwing down that supply depot. And they are spawning now at cross positions. That is about as far away as you can get. And so we could potentially see a macro-style game here. That does mean that these players can take the high-yield expansion. We were talking about that earlier. And a lot of times you'll see a Terran player take that much earlier than a Protoss simply because of he does a shout-out to the Thunder Sticks is what he was saying.
That is right, Thunder Sticks, ladies and gentlemen. Greatest noisemakers known to man. And you know what? You know, for those of you who don't know, the last match was 2 players playing remotely. That was the unfortunate computer crash that occurred. But now we actually have 2 players in the room, and they are nice and snugly nestled in those pro gaming booths that we have them packed into, playing for our entertainment. And it looks like Sick Iggy from Team Zynga now stepping up into the main.
Yeah, he's going to try and start harassing with his probe. Pretty standard stuff. He wants to see exactly what's going on. He's looking, is there going to be gas? What's the add-on on the barracks going to be? Sometimes you'll see a probe even have the tenacity to drop a pylon down to try and prevent the add-on from the barracks happening. And he is going to be stealing the gas. And as a Protoss player, Sean, is he attempting just to force an expansion here?
And you know, this is, I think, an important point you bring up, that it's not about denying your opponent from getting, you know, like, or forcing him necessarily to do something. It's that it cuts off a whole bunch of possibilities, so
Right.
there's less of a box to work under. So when Husky says, does it force an expansion? He has to now do like a mineral focus strategy,
Yes.
like expanding. He can't do something like Banshee, so that means that Sick Iggy, for instance, doesn't really need to worry about getting really fast observers.
Oh, absolutely. And as a Protoss player, you need the exact right units, especially if the Terran player is going to be doing some sort of timing attack within the first 8 minutes. As a Protoss player, I mean, you need to have good force fields. You need to have the right amount of units on the ground. We've seen it time and time again where a Terran timing attack is just absolutely devastating. So he's trying to force that timing attack to come much later. We'll see if it's going to pay off. Now, usually what a Terran player will do in this situation is go ahead and expand off of this. But right now, he is going to throw down that factory. That factory is not in range of the assimilator here, and he seems to not really take the bait here. He's just going to continue marching forward.
Now, as we see from Sick Iggy, he is getting to learn exactly what Perihelion is doing with that barracks. We see 1, 2, 3 Marines now. And if Sick Iggy is watching really carefully, he's going to wonder, why was there not a tech lab built on that barracks? Why is it building Marines nonstop? And then Sick Iggy can conclude, well, he's probably going to be building a factory, or he has a whole bunch of other barracks hiding around. So how will Sick Iggy follow it up? It looks like he's just going to be making 1 extra gateway. Doesn't quite have the cash to add on many more. We do see, interestingly, it looks like we might see a reactor Hellion opening from Perihelion.
Yeah, this is something you'll normally see versus Zerg players, but I mean, throwing a build at a Protoss player, if he's caught completely out of position, there is going to be a starport going down. There will always be a potential for some sort of drop play, and I would be surprised to see much more other than a medevac either, because we're mentioning the gas has been severely delayed, so anything he attempts to do here is going to be delayed if he depends on gas alone. And right now we have a 3rd gateway going down here. Right now he's continuing to get out units out of that gateway. Of course, the warp gate technology takes very long, so you usually see players go for additional units than what you used to see in the past. Now, this Hellion looks like it's going to be able to make it all the way to the Protoss player base, but there should be another Stalker here to defend it. Just needs to hold position it on the ramp and get some free shots off, although this Hellion is going to slip in here and see exactly what's going on.
And it looks like it might not be able to do any permanent damage, but just like you said, he is spotting everything that is going on, and we see Sick Iggy pulling all his probes back, really giving that Hellion a lot of credit.
Yeah, so that Hellion I don't think he's going to make it out of here alive, but he has delayed mining quite heavily. There's a lot of probes still sitting around, 4 probes. Need to make sure to get back to work. He's going to immediately put those on the gas. He does have his 2nd gas done now. Now, I'm wondering, is transferring those workers, is that going to delay him as long as our Terran player wants? I mean, because, Sean, you're clicking right there. There is a Banshee on the way. We don't see Cloak. He is working his way towards 200 gas, so very well potentially could go ahead and get that. Which, do we have a Robobay on the way? No, we do not. Any predictions? Do you think he'll go for cloaking, or is he just going to try and harass with this Banshee?
I think what we're going to see is the 1 base Terran versus Protoss build that has been so popular in the GSL, the mass Marine tank Banshee push. So difficult to hold off. It's going to be up to Sick Iggy's macro. Looks like he is saving up money to do a very, very fast expand, but this might save him if he starts pumping out a lot of units from those gateways and gets that robo facility up, because this push that's coming up from Perihelion could do some massive damage.
Yeah, so there's not going to be any cloaking quite yet. The reason is because that exact unit composition, he needs that additional gas for those siege tanks. The majority of his minerals are going to be going towards those Marines, and just looking at the units tab, we had it up there for a second. Our Protoss doesn't have quite that much, so it's going to come down to what does he make out of this robotics? Is he going to be able to get all the units he needs? Here comes the Banshee right now. Needs to make sure to keep that alive. Stalkers are pretty good against a Banshee. As the Banshee, it's much more difficult to micro them versus the Stalkers than it is against something like, say, Marines or such. So he's probably going to poke in here. I would be surprised if he overcommitted and lost this Banshee, because, Sean, I mean, you're mentioning a timing attack here. I think that's exactly what he wants to do. I mean, he hasn't expanded quite yet, although he may be expanding here. It does look like a couple probes have gone down. He is forcing the transfer once again.
And it looks like Sick Iggy is not mining once again. This is exactly what Perihelion wants. Perihelion is getting closer and closer to securing the win for Team Microsoft. If Sick Iggy continues to make a lot of units, he could quite possibly hold off this big push coming up from Perihelion. But he's going to need to make a lot of units fast. He's going for a fast Colossus. Looks like he cancels that order. He belays that. No, he's going to go ahead and build that robotics facility. If he starts producing a lot of units, he could get enough up in time. And I think he may have spotted that attack coming.
Now, the timing is going to be a little bit off here. I did see our Terran player got a little supply block there, which is huge on a 1-base play. It does look like a couple more probes are going to go down. We are up to 4 kills on this Banshee, and really the Observer needs to spot this. Here comes the Stalkers right now. The Banshee may be able to slip away 7 kills total. Once again, forcing the transfer there, which this is not what you want to be doing in this situation as a Protoss, because you need, he will be able to save the Banshee as well, so the threat of the DPS on that.
Close.
Oh,
manages
barely
to
gets away
escape.
there. 6 HP, Sean. That was 1 shot away from dying. But when you're going for fast Colossus, you need as much money as possible. And does he have any sentries here to even hold this ramp at all? He does have 2 in there, but I don't know if that's going to buy enough time for a Colossus to get out.
He has left 1 Stalker out and back, but it looks like no siege mode yet from Perihelion. The Banshees are going to do a lot of damage. Most importantly, get that vision range up there. We see 1 Colossus coming out. I mean, amazingly, even though this fast Colossus is virtually never done, this could be the key that Sick Iggy needs to defend this attack.
Now, the thing that's going to be difficult is if that siege mode finishes. Now, he can use the Colossus on the high ground to do a lot of damage to those Marines. I mean, the splash damage is absolutely out of control, but it does look like Perihelion is just now expanding, going to be dropping down that command center outside of his own natural. So he will be able to, if he falls back at the right time, if things are going south, then he'll have an expansion up on the Protoss player. Now, is this Colossus going to finish? Well, it looks like it will. It is nearly completed here, so this is going to be a very tense moment. That Banshee's still very low on HP, and is Sick Iggy going to be able to hold here? I mean, it's 62 supply to 86 right now, so it may be tough.
And we do see Sick Iggy sees everything that's outside the front of his base. He hasn't yet started that second Colossus. He's going to try to step forward with a couple of these Stalkers. Uh-oh. And it looks like Sick Iggy now throwing down the Guardian Shield. The Marines taking huge damage. The Banshees target fire everything, but we see a lot of Marines were taken down at the start, and it looks like Sick Iggy is in total retreat, now trying to get another Colossus up with the siege tanks dealing massive damage from below.
And I mean, what's a Protoss player to do in this situation? The tanks have such a large range, and the Banshees can easily focus down that Colossus, even if that one does get out. Even able to snipe a couple of pylons here. There's the SCV transfer down to the natural. Not sure what those 3 guys are doing, but regardless, his macro is looking pretty good in this situation. He's still way ahead in supply. It's just Stalker versus siege tanks, which is always tough. Trying to focus down the Banshees, but at the cost of several of his ground army, even losing 1 more Zealot right there. And there will be another Colossus here, but it's going to be tough to deal with those siege tanks. I mean, maybe if he was able to move out before the siege mode was done, but this is going to be extremely tough for Sick Iggy right here.
It looks like he's now advancing forward. He has the 1 Colossus, but realizes he needs more gateway units. He's going to wait for 1 more round, taking some damage. His units going back and forth, trying to push back the SCVs, but continually stepping in the range of that tank fire. And it looks like Sick Iggy going to make a final stand, stepping forward. The Banshees retarget fire, and it looks like Perihelion may have done it. All the pros move forward, and it looks like Microsoft might be able to take the 4-1. And there's the EHOT timing. GG. Microsoft has done it. Microsoft with a 7-0 throughout the season.
Yeah.
Winning here 4-1. Microsoft
absolute,
now the grand champions of the After Hours Gaming League.
That means they win this amazing diamond right here. And Sean, they have played so well. And also, I want to mention that a couple of one-base play from their Terran players today proved to be pretty darn effective.
I know, just great one-basing going on throughout the evening. Now, for any of you at home, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back with the final award ceremony where we present $5,000 to Amnesty International on behalf of the champions, Team Microsoft. You did an amazing job today. So without any further ado, I am Day9.
And I am Husky, guys. Don't go anywhere.
We will see you with the prize ceremony right after this.